Imagine the sheer, the drama of it. Trying to bring a whole species back from extinction, back to a place they haven't roamed for, what, over 70 years?
It really does sound like something out of a film, doesn't it? But it's happening right now in India.
Absolutely. And we're talking about cheetahs, the fastest things on land, this incredibly ambitious project by India to reintroduce them.
That's right. And today, we're really diving into the latest, the twists and turns, and especially this brand new potential home that's coming into focus.
Yeah, we've gathered quite a bit of material, updates, reports, articles, giving us a really good look at this whole journey, where it's hit some real challenges.
And where it's going next, that's the plan for today, to really get our heads around the whole effort, the difficulties, on the ground.
And the really exciting part, that the role this third sanctuary might play.
Exactly. Its potential importance.
So let's step back a bit. How did India even get here? Needing to reintroduce cheetahs, the history is quite stark, isn't it? Declared extinct back in 1952.
It is stark. I mean, think about it. The only large mammal lost in India since independence. That's huge.
What drove that? The sources point to the usual suspects, I suppose.
Pretty much relentless poaching, for one. And then their habitat just kept shrinking. People moving in, development. They were just squeezed out. Their whole world vanished.
A tragic story. But then this huge decision to try and turn back the clock, to push back against that loss.
Exactly. And Project Cheetah officially kicked off in 2022. And it was a big deal globally, actually.
How so?
Well, it was the first time ever large carnivores had been moved between continents like this. First, 8 cheetahs flown in from Namibia straight to Kuno National Park in Madhya Pradesh.
Right, Kuno. That became the starting point. But it wasn't just those 8.
No, that was just the beginning. A few months later, February 2023, another 12 arrived, this time from South Africa.
Okay, so Kuno suddenly became this, global spotlight for conservation, a massive experiment.
Absolutely. But, one thing became clear pretty fast, and the sources really highlight this. Putting all your eggs in one basket, just Kuno, was risky.
Makes sense. Disease, habitat problems, maybe conflict with locals, if things go wrong in one place.
Exactly. The whole project could be jeopardized. So the strategy had to adapt. They needed more sites, spread the population, spread the risk.
Which brings us to the second location.
Right. Gandhi Sagar Wildlife Sanctuary, also in Madhya Pradesh. That became the second official cheetah spot, just recently, actually, in April 2025.
And who were the pioneers there? 2 males, I think?
Yeah, Pavak and Prabhas.
Right.
And the material tells us a bit about them. They weren't just picked randomly.
Right.
Both about 6 years old, from South Africa's Waterberg Biosphere Reserve. And crucially, they had reputations as strong wild hunters. Good track records.
And they'd already proven they could handle India.
Yes, that was key. They'd already sired cubs back at Kuno, so they'd shown they could adapt, breed. Meanwhile, Gandhi Sagar itself was getting a major prep job.
Like,
Building huge enclosures, stocking them with prey, chital, nilgai, chinkara, basically rolling out the welcome mat with a full buffet.
okay, so Kuno, then Gandhi Sagar, phase 1, phase 2. But the real buzz right now, what we're focusing on today, is the next place in line.
And that's Nauradehi Wildlife Sanctuary, which interestingly just got renamed. It's now the Veerangana Rani Durgavati Tiger Reserve.
Oh, okay, so that's the third potential cheetah haven.
That's the one. And it's not just talk. Things are happening on the ground now.
Like inspections.
Yeah. The sources say a team from the NTCA, that's the National Tiger Conservation Authority, the main agency running the show, they're actively out there, inspecting sites in the reserve, checking readiness.
So this is pretty concrete then.
Oh, yeah. Uttam Kumar Sharma, he's the field director at Kuno. He's actually confirmed Nauradehi is next. It's official.
Right, so let's get into it. Why Nauradehi?
Yeah.
What makes this place stand out as a good spot for cheetahs based on what we're seeing?
Well, a few things really jump out. First, just the size. It's massive. Over 1,800 square kilometers across 2 districts in Madhya Pradesh, Sagar, and Damoh. That's a lot of space.
And landscape. What's it like?
It's described as a real biodiversity hotspot. You've got rivers, big grasslands, forests mixed in, a varied environment.
Okay, vast space, varied landscape. Why is that combo so good for cheetahs? I mean, cheetahs equal speed, right? Formula One speed, basically.
Yeah.
0 to 60 in like 3 seconds.
Exactly. And that speed is everything. They're built for the chase out in the open. They need those big, clear areas to really open up when they hunt.
Not like tigers hiding in the bushes.
Totally different. Tigers need dense cover for ambushing. Cheetahs need room to run. So Nauradehi's mix of grasslands and sort of sparser woodlands, it's almost tailor-made for how they hunt and move.
Got the racetrack. What about the food? Is the menu right in Nauradehi?
That's crucial. And yes, the sources say Nauradehi already has good populations of the kinds of animals cheetahs like to hunt. Cheetah, nilgai, chinkara, those sorts of antelope.
They're picky eaters then.
Relatively speaking, yes, they have preferences. And MP, Madhya Pradesh, is known as India's tiger capital, right? Famous for having lots of prey in places like Pench. Nauradehi seems to fit that mold, a solid food supply.
And you mentioned it was just named a tiger reserve, the 9th one in MP. That sounds like a good sign too, doesn't it?
It really does. Getting that tiger reserve status isn't easy. It means the ecosystem is considered healthy, capable of supporting top predators. Even though cheetahs need different things than tigers, it suggests the underlying ecological health is there.
So Nauradehi looks great on paper.
Yeah.
Ideal almost. But, and the sources don't shy away from this whole project has hit some serious snags. We need to talk about the tough stuff too.
Absolutely. You can't ignore the realities on the ground. It's one thing to pick a spot, another to manage it. And a big issue, highlighted in a 2025 study by the Center for Wildlife Studies, they're tracking this closely, is the mortality rate.
Yeah, that number was sobering.
It really was. The study pointed to a 40 to 50% mortality rate among the cheetahs brought in during that first phase. Now, the original goal, the target, was 85% survival.
So way off target.
Significantly. Survival's only been around 50 to 60%. That's a real challenge for any reintroduction.
And that feeds into a wider debate that's been simmering, hasn't it? The whole ethics of it.
Yes. Some respected experts have voiced concerns. The late Velmik Thapar, for instance, a big name in Indian conservation, he questioned if bringing in African cheetahs was truly sustainable long-term. Worries about their welfare, potential inbreeding.
These aren't easy questions.
Not at all. And it's important we acknowledge these different viewpoints within the conservation world. It's a complex issue.
And then there's the interface with people. You can set up a perfect reserve, but animals, well, they wander.
Exactly, and that leads to conflict. There was a really vivid incident mentioned in March 2025 at Kuno. A female cheetah, Chwala, and her 4 cubs wandered right into a village.
Oh, wow. How did that go?
Apparently, they were eyeing a farmer's calf. And the villagers, protecting their animals, started throwing stones. It just perfectly illustrates that tension, that challenge of coexistence when large predators meet human settlements.
Yeah, that's the sharp end of conservation.
Yeah.
And beyond those immediate clashes, there's a longer-term worry, too, about genetics.
Definitely. Keeping the gene pool diverse is vital, especially when you start with a small number of animals. And at Kuno, they found that some of the cubs born were actually half-siblings, same father.
Right. The male Polwan, who unfortunately drowned later.
That's the one. So having only a few successful breeders, it really increases the risk of inbreeding down the road, which can cause all sorts of problems.
But they're aware of this. There's a plan.
Oh, yes. They're actively working on it. The plan is to bring in 8 more cheetahs from Botswana this year, 2025. 4 were expected, maybe even by May. The whole point is to bring in fresh genes, widen that pool, fight that inbreeding risk.
Okay, so let's swing back to Nauradehi specifically. With cheetahs potentially arriving, what does that mean for the people living nearby?
It's kind of a double-edged sword for the local communities, On the one hand, there's definitely excitement about tourism.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Madhya Pradesh's chief minister, Mohan Yadav, he's really pushing wildlife tourism. And let's face it, the chance to see a cheetah in India, that's a massive draw. People will travel for that.
But the other edge of the sword,
Hmm.
like at Kuno, worries about livestock, safety.
Absolutely legitimate concerns. So the Forest Department, according to the Moses, is really trying to get ahead of it. Lots of community outreach, education programs happening around Nauradehi.
What are they actually doing?
Trying to build trust, explain cheetah behavior, how they hunt, what precautions people can take. And those big herbivore enclosures inside the sanctuary are part of it too.
How so?
The idea is keep the cheetahs happy and well-fed inside the park on wild prey, so they're less likely to wander out looking for an easy meal, like goats or calves. It's a real balancing act, trying to manage the animals and work with the local people.
And the prep inside Nauradehi itself sounds intense. They're not just winging it.
No way. That NTCA inspection team, They're being thorough. It sounds like the same kind of rigorous check that happened at Gandhi Sagar back in January 25. That involved multiple agencies, NTCA, the Indian Veterinary Research Institute, State Forest Department.
So checking everything. Habitat, prey, water, potential problems.
Exactly. Basically getting the five-star hotel ready, making sure it's as suitable and safe as possible before the cheetahs arrive.
So looking bigger picture now, this whole project, Project Cheetah, it's huge, high profile.
Yeah.
How does it fit with everything else India is doing for conservation? We touched on the critics.
Right. It's definitely a flagship project. But yes, some argue the resources, the money, the focus could maybe be better used protecting species already there, species under threat, like tigers.
And tigers still face challenges, right? Even in the tiger capital.
Oh, for sure. The sources mention incidents even recently, in 2025. Tragic things like tiger attacks on people in Umaria district, a farmer mauled near Bantavgarh. It's a reminder that protecting existing wildlife, especially predators living near people, takes constant effort and resources too. It's a valid debate on where the priorities should lie.
Difficult choices.
Yeah.
But let's shift focus slightly. Amidst the challenges, there have been genuine moments of hope too, haven't there? The signs of success.
Absolutely. The births, seeing cubs born in India after 75 years, that's been incredibly important, biologically and just for morale.
Like Mookie, the first one born.
Yes, Mookie, born back in March 2023. And her story, she was apparently abandoned briefly by her mom, Jwala, but she survived. It really shows the resilience of these animals, that they can potentially make it, breed, and maybe even thrive in this new home.
So with Nauradehi getting ready, joining Kuno and Gandhi Sagar, what's the overall feeling about the project's potential now?
I think with Nauradehi's size, its prey base, and crucially, all the lessons they're learning from Kuno and Gandhi Sagar, it genuinely seems well-positioned to help build a bigger, more sustainable population.
And the new cheetahs coming from Botswana help too.
Big time. That directly tackles the genetic diversity issue we talked about. So yeah, adding Nauradehi, bringing in new bloodlines, it definitely makes the long-term outlook feel quite a bit stronger.
And for tourists dreaming of that ultimate Indian safari.
Oh, it completely changes the game. MP is already world famous for tigers, Kana, Pench, Bandhavgarh. Now add cheetahs to the mix, that's unique.
For a huge draw.
Massive! You can see why the chief minister is keen on promoting it. It puts MP even more firmly on that global wildlife tourism map. Imagine telling your friends you saw a tiger and a cheetah on the same trip in India. That's pretty special.
So quite a journey we've traced today. From extinction in India over 70 years back to this incredibly bold reintroduction, starting at Kuno, expanding to Gandhi Sagar.
And now Nauradehi poised to become this vital third piece of the puzzle.
It's a story packed with ambition, but also serious challenges, logistics, ethics, working with local people.
And yet underneath it all, there's this real thread of hope, isn't there?
Definitely. And as Nauradehi prepares for those cheetahs, it feels like this whole thing is bigger than just one species.
I think so, too. It really feels like a test case for conservation in the modern world, Can we actually do this? Can we, with science, effort, and getting communities involved, actually bring a species back from the brink against all the pressures of today?
A massive ongoing experiment. It certainly leaves you thinking about what success looks like, what compromises are needed, and just the huge implications of trying to give nature that second chance, right here, right now,